So this is Kathy with Duality Unfolding. So I have for you a past, present, and future love reading. So what we'll be looking at is what happened in the past, and then a lesson that you learned from that past love. What is presently happening right now for you, and how long you'll be in this present love situation, as well as a love activation card to kind of help you see like what you're meant to like learn or gain from this current love situation. And then we will look at a future love situation that's coming, the activation behind that, like the love activation behind that, like what you're meant to learn, how it's meant to help you, and potentially help the other person. And then how long you will be waiting for that love to come in the future. So I will be doing 4 readings. I've got different tarot cards for each group, and then we'll be using the same oracle cards decks for all the groups, but I wanted to give you a couple ways to choose. So I've got a crystal card and then kind of a little generic oracle card. So group number 1, your crystal card is Azurite. And the message of this crystal is inspiration, understanding, and intuition. And then the oracle message is pull another card from your tarot deck. Okay, so you might read tarot cards. You might use tarot cards for yourself. So you might have recently done your own tarot reading for past, present, future for love, or you might have watched another video. So if any of those resonate, then that might be the group for you. Group number 2, your card is Aventurine. And the message is luck, prosperity, fulfillment. And the oracle card for you is I am filled with love and light. Group number 3, your crystal is Beryl. And the message of this crystal is purpose, focus, and motivation. And your oracle card is consider all your options before acting. And this little snaky baby guy. Okay. And then group number 4, your crystal is Agate. And the message of Agate is courage, power, perseverance. And your oracle message is just like the moon, I will go through phases. You might have some significant Cancer placements. Also, the moon is associated, or the moon is the ruler of Cancer. It's the planet that rules Cancer. So, okay, these are your options. Take all the time that you need. You're more than welcome to watch more than one reading. If you wanted to choose the readings for maybe like romantic, familial, friend love, however you'd like to watch them, you're more than welcome to view them in whatever way your intuition says works best for you. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for choosing this video. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. And there are timestamps below, so I will meet you in the readings. Hello, group number 1. So if you chose this Azurite crystal and this pull another card from your tarot deck, oracle message, this is your reading. I don't know why this card makes me laugh. Whenever it comes up, like it just makes me giggle. I think because like if you're someone that reads tarot for yourself, that like sometimes you'll pull a card and it's not the card that you want, but you know it's the card that like spirit needs you to like, the message I guess spirit needs you to hear. And there's always that inclination to like pull another card, and it's like, but I want good news. I don't want another lesson. So if that resonates for you, you might be just kind of feeling that about love, which I totally get. Love is amazing and love is hard. So, you know, but I mean, I feel like love is ultimately why we do the things that we do, right? So I have quite a few cards for you for past, present, and future. So I'm going to do my best to fit everything in here. We'll see how it goes as far as the space for you to be able to see things. We're definitely going to get through all the cards, but let's look at your past love messages first. Okay, so this card is the Shadow. If you're familiar with tarot, this card is associated, or in a traditional deck, it would be the Devil. But this creator of the Numinous Tarot I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I love that because I feel like the devil card is one of like the scarier cards in the tarot, and I think it's also one of the more misunderstood cards. I think the devil has like such a kind of wide ranging reputation, right? Depending on like what your upbringing is, like what you've experienced, like if you have a religious background, if you don't. But I think the thing that I love about this card is that it represents the message of the devil card that the energy of the devil card represents the way that we are. I feel like this is a really charged word, but I'm going to use it, enslaved to something. The way that we keep ourselves bound, the way that we keep ourselves trapped by something or someone in our life, or it can represent someone that's trying to keep us tied down, right? So we've got this person that, you know, they have these kind of ropes around their neck. It's going through their heart. It's all knotted. It's tied around their hands and possibly tied down somewhere else we can't really see. But this is not something that you could do to yourself, right? I appreciate the nod to the devil's past, that the devil was once an angel. We've got these horns here that almost look like wings and this kind of halo, right? And the eyes are missing. So to me, it feels like there is something in your past, like a past love situation, that someone almost like pulled the wool over your eyes and they really got you tangled up in a way that it almost feels like when you realize that it was happening, it's like having the rug pulled out from under you, where it's like you were finally able to regain your sight. And it feels like, how did this happen? Like, how did I get here? And like, this isn't me. And like, how did I get into this situation? Right. And so I think that when we experience something that gets us like so tangled up, you know, that removes our ability to see what's happening, removes our ability to speak up, removes our ability to get away from the situation, and has really caused us like these weird emotional kind of soul ties. I think there's like one of two things that can happen. I think that depending on your personality, like some people can go into victim mode, you know, and kind of go into like blaming the other person for everything bad that happened. Like, I feel like these are two really significant like spectrums, right? That we can go into like this victim mode of this person did all these things and they're a horrible person and they need to be vilified, all the way to doing that to ourselves by saying that like, I should have known better. It's all my fault. How did I let this happen? And I feel like as human beings, we learn from contrast, right? Where it's like we can either be here or we can be here, or the full spectrum of human experiences that we vacillate between the two, that sometimes we start here and we end up here, you know. And as we are able to kind of look at the reality of things and be compassionate with ourselves and heal and grow and change, that we can see that there's this middle ground, right? That sometimes things happen to us because maybe we were too trusting, right? And that being too trusting allowed us to be victimized. But when we come to that middle space, like I'm doing this thing with my hands, right? Like, why am I doing that? When we come to that middle space, it's this place of empowerment where it's like, okay, I can see how I was victimized, but I also understand what I needed to learn so this never happens again. And I can also see how I was beating myself up for something that I didn't know was happening, because I've never been here before. I've never experienced this. How am I supposed to know? But now that I've been through it, I will not allow it to happen again. You know, so kind of coming to this center place. And so I feel like that's where, just like these hands coming together, right? I feel like that is what happened in this past love situation for you, that it was chaotic. It was a whirlwind. It was painful. It was like, it was just, it feels like it was just really bad. It was really bad. And I think that like, if people were to ask you about it, I feel like that's the words that you would use to describe it. It was just really bad. And that's all I want to say. But I feel like it it happened for a purpose, and we'll see what that is. And that you were able to just really grow from it. Like it changed you for the better. It's not something you would ever want to have happen again. It's not something you would ever wish on anybody else, but you understand now that there's been enough time and space from it, that this happened it was like a part of your evolution, right? For you to grow into who you are now. I don't want to say that you're grateful that it happened, because there's not that gratitude there, but there's a deep understanding that like this was almost like this was a journey you had to go through to get to where you are now. And you're so happy that you're where you are now. But like, let's never do that again. It's really how it feels. So I totally get that. So let's look at the love oracle message. Okay, time spent with you is the happiest time of my life. This feels like it's coming from the other person. But it also kind of feels like there are good parts of it that you reflect on, that like the beginning part is how this feels for you. Yeah. So let's see the lesson. Okay. In the past, you were surrounded by people that yelled. Now you are aware that good communication doesn't involve yelling. I love that. So, and I feel that, like, definitely. I feel that with like childhood stuff for myself. But I think with this kind of rope, this tie around the throat, and also this blue connected to the throat chakra, that maybe like when people yell at you, it causes you to really shut down. This might have been something that you said to the person, like when you were dating them, because this feels like a romantic relationship message, at least this part. And it almost feels like there's a little bit of regret around this, like that maybe when it feels like this was possibly weaponized against you at one point, or maybe early on you had said that like the time I spend with you is like the happiest I've ever felt, and then later on the person like weaponized it against you in a romantic relationship. So that's what it feels like there. So these are the past messages. So I'm gonna put these. Let me put these over here so we can see the important parts, that you learned. That you learned how strong you are, how large your capacity is to heal yourself. I feel like is a big thing that's coming from this, as well as for this, like, I feel like the yelling thing is a deal breaker for you now. I feel like the yelling thing is a red flag, as it should be. I feel like, and this is just my opinion, but I would like to offer it. I think that there are certain situations where yelling is important. If a building is on fire and you need people to get out, if there's an emergency and you need someone to call 911, if somebody is about to walk into a situation that's going to harm them, yes. I feel like if there is an imminent danger, yelling is appropriate. I think when people yell because that's the way that they express their emotion and their anger, and they're using that to project that anger onto us, that becomes very violent behavior. If you're an energetically or emotionally sensitive person, if you're highly sensitive, like that yelling, it's not just like hurtful to your ears. Like it almost feels like, and take this if it resonates, it almost feels like the yelling feels like a sonic boom, where it's like the person is, it makes me think of Street Fighter. Like if you've ever seen like the videos of like the Street Fighter videos of the guy that like does his little hands and like the stuff comes out. I'm sure that's in like a lot of like anime and video games, but like it almost feels like the yelling is a lot. It's the way that a lot of people use to like kind of exert this like energetic power, that like I'm just gonna yell at you because I'm not allowed to hit you, but I want to, and I'm gonna use my energy to do that. So, it feels like the yelling thing is a deal breaker for you. And to that, I say good for you. I think that boundaries are really important, and that like when we're able to identify what we do not want from people, You know, I think a lot of dating advice is like, oh, tell people what your deal breakers are, but it's like, why? Like, why would I tell someone how to potentially hide things about themselves instead of me knowing that this is my deal breaker, and let's intentionally date to get to know each other, and like, okay, something happened on the fourth date and you're really upset at someone and you yell at them. And now I see that, like, and maybe it's not about you, right? Like maybe they almost get in a car accident, or maybe somebody cuts them off, or maybe they're having a bad day. And it's like you see that, oh, okay, when you're really angry, you yell. And that's a deal breaker for me. And I don't think I want to continue dating you after this. You know, and being able to communicate that in a time and space that is safe for you. Obviously not when you're in the car with them on the date. Unless you feel like that's appropriate. You know what to do for yourself, but I just wanted to say all that I support your boundaries. I feel like you're really you're a really strong person. And I know that it can be hard to be a strong person sometimes. So I just want to say, I'm proud of you. This is hard to move past. So I'm really proud of you. So let's look at the present love situation. Oh, the lovers. I love this. So we have, this is a very non-traditional depiction of the lovers because it's a group of people, right? It's like this harmony. Like traditionally the lovers card is just two people together, but we have this group of people. For some reason, when I looked at it, I thought of like 10 of Pentacles, like happily ever, 10 of Pentacles, because this looked like a pentacle. To me, 10 of Pentacles is like the happily ever after card. But I think the thing I love about this card is that whatever angle that you look at it, there's not like I read reversals. And so like there's not really a reverse to this card, right? It's like there's harmony all around. So I love that they depicted it this way. We've got the person at the very kind of center with their heart space kind of cracking open with this really beautiful golden light. Everybody is kind of touching each other like in a really supportive way, like hands on shoulders, or even like holding hands with each other. Some have their eyes closed, you know, some are looking at each other, like some have their eyes open. It's just I feel like it's just a really beautiful, harmonious, like positive energy. So there's just like a lot of whatever love situation that you are in right now, it's just a really, really harmonious, positive, interaction, you know. And so this could be family, this could be a polyamorous relationship, this could be finding like a soul family, or like even a group of people, right? Like friend group, or I think it feels like there's a lot of harmony in a lot of areas of your life, right? That like for some reason work came up, that like, you know, you might have just like really great people that you work with, which is, I feel like that's a huge blessing because we spend so much time out of our day at work. So like being able to work with people that are like really nice, that you get along with, that you enjoy being around, like that's something I think that's like such a blessing. But you know, you have a lot of like love and harmony and happiness around you. So let's look at your oracle card. Oh, interesting. Addiction, codependent, obsession, possession, controlling, has a block, or restraint. This is very oppositional energy, right? I feel like this definitely has to do a lot more with this. So I wonder if this harmonious situation that you're in is kind of triggering some of this. Or, you know, the Lover's card, we talked about like kind of those spectrums, right? Where it's like the Lover's card in its highest form can be, you know, having these really balanced, healthy relationships. In the traditional tarot, like the Lovers and the Devil card are very, almost like two sides of a different coin. Two sides of the same coin. And so like in the Lover's card, there's an angel. In the traditional tarot, it's an angel in the sky and then two people that are looking at each other. And it's like this, the Lover's card in traditional tarot, it's really like this blessing about this relationship. And is a depiction of like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. The devil card, the imagery in the traditional tarot is very much the same. The devil is a fallen angel, and it's at the very top of the card with two people that are chained to sometimes one another, sometimes to a spot that they're at. And so it's almost like the shadow version of the lovers. And so it feels, it almost feels like this. Oof. Okay, this is, I feel this. I take it if it resonates. I'm curious if this current situation, this current love situation, is making you question if this is too good to be true, and it's making you worry about these things like addiction, codependence, obsession, because that's what happened in the past. I think that this is not about your current situation. I feel like this, I mean, it could be that you have a little bit of a block in this current situation because of what happened in the past, which, you know, like it takes time to heal trauma. And sometimes the healing takes longer than our brains say that it should. Sometimes it takes longer than we want it to. Sometimes that healing is inconvenient and it kind of blocks our happiness for right now. But I feel like this energy is connected to the past stuff, you know, and I feel like that's the hard thing about being a human being. Like we don't get to like forget things, right? Like there's not like a memory agency you can go to, like in the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Like you can't go and get those memories retracted or erased from your brain. It doesn't work that way, you know, even though we want to. And so if you're kind of struggling with this stuff, let's see what the next card says. Okay. So I feel like this is the message. This is the love activation for your current love situation. So the message is freedom. You are releasing any self-imposed restrictions or perceived limitations through the loving energy of openness. I feel like this activation is coming to help you heal from this, right? That like the Lover's card, like I said, in the highest form, the Lover's card is about equal partnership and autonomy while being with someone else. In kind of the lower toxic form, like it can be about codependence. It can be about obsession with the other. It can be about needing to have someone else to be attached to because it's not safe to be by ourselves. And I think that all human beings kind of struggle with that, right? Like we have a need for belongingness, but then we have a need for autonomy, right? Like we want to be able to do the things that we want to do and have people choose to still be with us and that be okay. Like we don't want to get rejected, right, for being an individual, but we want to feel like we belong, you know, because I think people disagree with this, but I feel like we're social creatures. I was going to say we're pack animals, you know, and like my dad's always like, people aren't animals. And all right. That's what I think of that. But I feel like, you know, with this Lover's card, we have all these people and like no one is holding anyone back, right? Like it's almost like instead of holding onto each other, they're interlinked. They're choosing to hold one another because, you know, he's choosing to hold his heart and these people are still fine being connected to him, right? There's not this issue of like, well, if you don't hold my hand, then I don't want to be with you, right? And, you know, these eyes closed, like there's a level of trust. There's a level of surrender. There's a level of security. And so I feel like in this present love situation, like you're learning what it means to be in relationship and still have that freedom, that like you're unlearning that love is possession. You're unlearning that love is controlling. You're unlearning that love means that you have to allow yourself to be restrained by someone else. And I feel like that's beautiful. And so I pulled a timing card for like how long, like if you're not yet in this energy, that's what the timing card is for. Okay, so in January, whenever January is next for you, like it feels like that's the time, like that is how long it is taking you to kind of learn this, to kind of this is really kind of a relearning of what love is, like a reprogramming. And so that's not to say that like whenever next January comes that this love situation is going to end. Like that's not what this means. It means that like from the time you're watching this to whenever January is, you're growing in this lesson, you're growing in this activation. Like this is, if love was a teacher, this is what it is going to be teaching you about love until, you know, next January. I guess we could look at it as like if you were taking a class. If you're taking a universe instructed, spirit guided, source led class on what freedom in love relationships looks like, the class would go from now until next January. So I feel like that's if you're worried about the time frame being tied to whatever this love situation is, that's not what it is. The time frame is tied to how long your like love course in this freedom lesson is going to last. So okay, so now let's look at the future. So what is coming for you in the future? So this future love situation. Explorer of Candles. So this is the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is about taking action. Wands are about action. So this is really kind of starting a new adventure. And so to me, what this feels like is in the future, whatever this love situation is, it's going to like, it's going to take a new direction. And I feel like the Knight of Wands, like he moves pretty quickly. The Knight of Swords moves the fastest. And then you have the Knight of Wands or the Explorer of Candles. Like he moves the next fastest. So I feel like there's a lot of red in here, love, passion. This salamander is also associated with like the Wands cards. We usually only see this in the King of Wands, though. I don't think I've ever, well, there might be a really small one in the traditional Knight of Wands, but it feels like, it almost feels like whoever you are in a relationship with, like something in their life is changing, like they're up leveling, and that is going to cause your relationship with them to shift in a different direction. It very much feels like it almost feels like they, let's say they get a promotion at work and they start working with different people. And it's like, okay, like all these people that I work with are like in these like kind of more serious committed relationships. And like they have partners that like they like support each other in like growing and doing more things, and I really like that, and I would like for us to do that. What do you think? And I feel like this the relationship is going to get a lot more serious in the future in a really positive way. You know, it's not like, I feel like this was a very serious situation, but this was serious because it was so detrimental. This feels serious like not taking the next step, but like this, I feel like this shift in the relationship in the future is going to be like talking about and kind of planning for those next steps, right? So like if like a big next step for you guys is like moving in together or moving someplace together, like in the future you're going to start talking about it and like figuring out how to make a plan to take action on it instead of just doing it, right? That like, yes, this moves quickly, but I feel like this Knight of Wands energy is like, he's very intentional and like focused. He's not spontaneous, right? That like, I feel like sometimes Knight of Wands energy can be like, let's go, like, let's just like jump first, think later, you know, like this is not the Knight of Wands. So this could be you. This could be the person that you are with that has that energy. But I kind of feel like it's combined. because it's like there's this fire here, and this almost looks like a little bit of water and some air. It feels like very balanced, right? That like, it feels really nice. It feels like just kind of in a very like low pressure way, kind of making these plans, like talking through these plans for your life together, for like this shift that's coming in, or like the shift that is affecting like what it means to be in partnership, and like what it means to be in relationship, right? That like it very much feels like, and I know I said this already, but it kind of feels like one of you is getting promoted, and it's like, okay, now that, now that I'm making more money, like I know we've talked about wanting to move somewhere else, and this could be like into like a nicer apartment or a safer area, or like even potentially like buying a house, or even like going from, maybe renting an apartment to renting a house. It feels like this kind of moving up energy. So let's look at the Oracle card. Oh, twin flame. So spiritual connection between you and your twin flame. Yeah. With this Knight of Candles, we've got this flame here. We have a couple flames. Actually, these two, right? This like fire and water, or like fire and even air. Yeah. Oh, this future. This could be a different person. I and maybe not, but I feel like this future person is your twin flame. And so I don't know exactly how twin flames work, because I'm kind of on the fence about it. Because I've heard certain things, right, that like twin flames come to teach us these really hard lessons, and they cause like this chaos in our life, which like, no thank you, also gross. And then I've heard other things where like twin flames are kind of like your other half, which I also am not a big fan of, because I feel like we're whole autonomous people, right? Like there's no parts of us that are lacking. But like also sometimes people can be, that complementary energy to us, right? That if you're super introverted and your person is extroverted, like it can allow for this balance to happen if you're both balanced people, that sometimes you do need to stay in, and then other times you do need to be kind of pulled out of your home to go out and interact with the world. But it feels like this person is becoming your twin flame, which like if you're super into twin flames and like that is not how it works, then maybe this message is not for you. But it feels like whatever shift or change is happening, like this person is becoming that twin flame, or maybe like that the connection is growing into more of a spiritual one than like whatever it currently is. Because it doesn't feel like this is a new person. It feels like this is part 2 of whatever this is. So I hope that makes sense. So the love activation message is passed. Through the power of love, you release any stagnant situations or energy in order to transform your heart space. Oh, this is so good. Yeah. So I feel like this future love chapter is really going to bring in healing that it's almost like the future love chapter is going to completely cut these strings, remove them from you, and allow for this hole to heal back up, right? That it's gonna it's no longer gonna be this big gaping hole. It's gonna be closed back up the way that it was meant to be. That like this person would never, over time with this person, and especially in this future love situation, like they're every day, just because of who they are and the situations that you guys go through as a couple, they're showing you that they would never cut a hole in you. They would never bind you. They would never like try to take away your vision or your voice. And that each time you understand and you see that about them, like it is healing that heart space for you. And I feel like that's so beautiful and so powerful and just really lovely. Yeah. And just really sweet. I feel like this person is just a really, really sweet person and they just adore you. And it just, oh, it makes me want to hug myself. It's so sweet. And so this final card is the time message. Okay, this is very soon, which is very interesting because we've got this learning. Well, it makes sense because it feels like whatever kind of up leveling happens for this person outside the relationship. I keep using the work example, but this could be health, this could be something with like education. Like there's just going to be something that shifts for them and you're going to know about it. Like they're going to talk to you about it. It's like they're very open. They could have a spiritual awakening even, like once this happens, like the healing, like this heart space healing that they are bringing in for you, it's going to happen really, really soon. So I feel like, chapter 1 is done. Like we have learned what we need to learn. I feel like chapter 2, this present chapter, is going to last for quite a while. And then when you get to chapter 3, it's going to be like a really short chapter. And then you guys will move on to your chapter 4 together. So yeah, group number 1, this has been your past, present, and future love reading. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that, I don't know, I hope that it's exciting for you because I feel like I'm excited for you. I hope that you know that you are so cared for, so loved, so adored by your spirit guides, your angels, the universe, God, source, just all the like heavenly beings. I feel like they're just working so hard to help you heal from this. Like they have put these really amazing people in your life. Like they're with this person as well. Like it's almost like if you two were this little coin and these are all angels around you. They're like, we're making a little wall of protection and we just kind of float around you guys all the time, wherever you go, whatever you're doing. And I feel like with this intuition, like I hope that you feel that, right? And if you think that you feel that and you're like, that's not real, stop gaslighting yourself, please. Because it is real. They're with you and they love you and they adore you. So group number 1, I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. But most of all, just thanks for being here. And yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 2. So if you chose this aventurine crystal and the I am filled with love and light oracle card, this is your past, present, future love reading. So got a bunch of tarot cards and oracle cards. So let's get into your past love situation. Okay, so we've got this 3 of wands. Sorry. I don't know, this made me think of like a pentacle, but she is holding these wands. Oh, and then she's got one in her back pocket. Okay, I was like, there's 3. Why can't I see 3? I see them. So in the past, it feels like you were really kind of reevaluating love, like what love means to you, like how you feel about love. Like this feels very much like visioning energy, right? Like, so maybe spending a lot of intentional time thinking about like, what do I want in my next love relationship? Like, where am I headed with love? Is it even important to me right now? Is it something that I want in the long term? Like this 3 of Wands is very much, it's a card of management. And so I feel like this is kind of like it feels like some people would see this as boring, but like when we are doing our visioning, kind of sitting and thinking about like, what is it that I want to manifest? Like, and so some people use vision boards. Some people cut out pictures from magazines. Some people like use Pinterest, right, to like make a little vision board and like collect the images that they want, and so the management part of that is really just kind of looking for things that feel right. I'm a visual person, but like I make notes about things that I want. So like my vision board just has like a bunch of Post-its on it with like words and time frames and things like that. And so it feels like for you in the past, like that's where you were, that's where you had been, that really kind of thinking about like, what is it that I want? Like, what is it that I really want? And kind of even reflecting back on like previous love situations and kind of thinking about like, well, I liked this, but I didn't like this. And like, actually, you know what? I thought this relationship was great. And like, now that I've grown, like, I don't want to do that again. No, thank you. So it feels like that's the energy that you were in. And so, the message is I can't stop thinking about you. So I wonder if some of you are looking for, it's almost like looking for a different version of this person. So there's someone that you can't stop thinking about, and it might be that you're looking for them again. Like you might be on the lookout for them to come back in your life. It could be, it feels for some of you, it feels like there's something about the physical intimacy part that you can't stop thinking about. So maybe it's just like a little bit of fantasizing, or like wanting that same like feeling of attraction with someone else, like whatever that chemistry was. And like kind of thinking about that part of it a lot, but wanting that with someone else, if that makes sense. And so let's look at the lesson. So the lesson that you learned from one or some of your past relationships was that in the past you felt bullied and scared, and now you're able to stand up for yourself and create safe boundaries, which I feel like that makes a lot of sense with this Three of Wands, because she's standing very tall, right? She's like up on her toes. But being in this ship, like she's very boundaried, right? Like there's the water and then there's the ship. It's a very hard boundary. She's not floating in the water. She's not kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like she's standing very tall, very firm in this vessel that, is kind of, it's on the water, right? So it's this very distinct separation. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of learning that happened for you in the past. And it wasn't just like, it doesn't feel like it was just one thing that happened. It feels like there was a culmination of things. Like many of your past relationships led you to understanding like how to speak up for yourself, how to stand for yourself, and like how to create safe boundaries for yourself. So let's look at your current love situation. Okay, so we have this Nine of Pentacles. So Nine of Pentacles is a card of independence. And so we've got this individual person, like he is very dapper. He's got this white peacock, this albino peacock, which is very rare. And then the 9 pentacles that are all here. So Nine of Pentacles is a card of independence. It's a card of being able to reflect on all the ways that we have done the work to get to where we are now. And that's not to say that like, it doesn't feel like, oh, I made it and I'm done. This card is really about kind of taking stock of like I said, how far we've come, but also giving yourself credit, right? The things that you've been through, like you don't trip and fall into Nine of Pentacles energy, right? Like you don't trip and fall into looking like this. Like this outfit is intentional. Like, like he had to go and find a hat that matched the bow tie, that matched the vest, that matches the suit, right? And I feel like that is really supported with this like white peacock energy. It's very rare. And so when things are, I don't want to say hard to come by, but like there's very much a level of intention with this. And so it's like you planned to get here. Like whatever current love situation that you are in, some of it feels like self-love. Like for some of you, because these people are both solo, like it feels like whatever happened in the past, that kind of made you question what you want for yourself in the future. It's led you to where you are now, where it's like you very deeply love and value yourself. Like you work really hard to take care of yourself. And I think that like that connects to future love in a way that like, if I can build myself up by myself, if I've created this level of peace and harmony, for myself by myself, I'm going to be very, very intentional about who I allow to come into my space. And like that's the energy I feel right now in your present situation. So let's see your oracle card. Coffee cup, meeting and conversing, savoring the moment, feeling uplifted, and friendship. Okay, so you might be focused right now on more kind of casual dating, even just like focusing on friendships, like that. I feel like you like people, you like interacting with people, but you are not in a space that like, okay, you get to be choosy. You have all the things that you need. You're able to provide and meet all your needs by yourself. So you are looking for someone that adds on to that. But I think whatever you went through in the past, like you're very aware that it takes time and energy to build something long term, right? So it almost feels like this present situation is part of the plan that you created before in the past, right? That maybe you spent some time like being like a serial monogamist, right? And like always being in relationships and like being in relationships and then like 6, 9, 12 months later realizing like there's no compatibility. I don't like this. I just wanted to be in a relationship to be in one, and I am not happy and I don't want to keep doing this. This current energy very much feels like it's not as focused on romance as it is on compatibility. So it almost feels like these like meetings and conversations, like enjoying the moment is a big part of it, right? But like you're looking to see if you can have a friendship with these people that you're kind of casually dating, and that friendship is the foundation, like being able to enjoy the moment together, feeling uplifted, feeling good after you're done with the interaction. Like it almost feels like this is in a way like a checklist, and like I know that probably sounds like really clinical and non-romantic, but I feel like it's a very, very intentional and smart way to use your energy, because I almost feel like sorry, my voice did something weird. I almost feel like the white peacock is your energy, that you are very rare, and that like you understand that about yourself. This I am filled with love and light card, luck, prosperity, fulfillment. Like this is, I feel like this is your energy, right? That you're very aware that like you are lucky in a way that you can't really explain, right? That you work very hard for what you have, but it's almost like there's these like little synchronicities that happen for you, where it's like, okay, this person did the same things that I did, but like for whatever reason, this little lucky nudge happened, and like I was randomly picked for a job based on doing the same things this other person did, and like they weren't there. It's almost like the right place at the right time, and that like you have learned that when you work with the luck, things work even better. So like I think sometimes people are like, oh, you're just lucky and it works out for you, and you're like, no, I have luck. It's almost like luck is like your sidekick, is the way you see it, and I really love that, that, because it's like seeing luck as its own separate energy, which it is, and like choosing to partner with it, I feel like it almost has like this really beautiful gratitude about it. That like, oh, look who showed up. Like Luck showed up to help me. And like, hey friend, how do we make this work? Like, what do you think we should do, Luck? You know, and the Luck's like, hey, let's just enjoy ourselves and see how it goes. Like, let's not worry about the future, and let's not think about if this person should be our spouse. Like, let's just go and have a conversation with them and see what comes up, you know. And you might find yourself after some of these interactions, like learning something about someone and feeling like, wow, I feel really lucky that I got to see that interaction, because I don't think I want to continue to spend time with this person. Or like, oh wow, like this person also feels like they are a really lucky person and they use the energy the same way I do. And like, I want to continue to have a friendship with them. Or like, even maybe like, oh, this person could be a mentor. Like they know how to energetically partner with Luck in a totally different way than I do. So yeah, it just feels really like, it feels good that you have a really like balanced, objective perspective about yourself and your energy, right? That like, you know that you're rare, but it's not something that you have to go around and tell people. Like, you just know it about yourself. You know that you're filled with love and light, and that people react to you in a different way than they react to other people because of this. Like, you know that you have luck and prosperity on your side, but you're not cocky about it. So just over here gassing you up. Let's see what's on this love activation card. Okay, tolerance. You appreciate other points of view because you sense the love in everyone. Oh, that's really beautiful. And green, more green. There's lots of green here. So I love that. I love that. That like, you're able to you're able to sense the love in everyone, and you can have an appreciation for people that think differently than you do, because you can sense that they're coming from a place of love. And I think that's a really powerful activation, because a lot of times we choose the people that are like us because it's easier, right? Like, if I just have all friends that read tarot, you know, then I don't have to worry about the feelings that come up when people kind of question if tarot is like, I don't know, evil, or like connected to demons, or like whatever things people ask because they're not familiar with it. You know, if I just only surround myself with tarot people, then I don't have to have hard conversations. And I think, you know, like a lot of people do that because like life's already hard. Let's keep it easy. But I think when we have those people that, you know, to follow the tarot example, are genuinely curious. Like, one of my really close friends, like the first time I read tarot for her, before we even did the reading, she was like, is something going to get attached to me? Which is a totally valid question, right? Like, if you don't know how tarot works, or you don't know how I read, and you're worried, right, that your safety should always be like paramount to anything, you know, especially your spiritual safety. It's like a huge form of personal advocacy to ask those questions, right? That like, okay, is some kind of weird energy going to get attached to me because you're reading my cards? And, you know, I use humor, but I was like, girl, I hope not, because I don't want anything attached to me, you know? And then also kind of being able to explain like, no, this is how I read, you know, and the way that like I read cards is that like, they kind of serve as, either like really direct messages, or they'll be kind of, visual images that help my intuition to like bring things up, right? And I think that for a lot of intuitive readers, like they like to use different cards because the imagery, you know, like can evoke different kind of messages or insights to, you know, connect things, right? Like I'm talking about like a lot of green here. Green is associated with the heart chakra. You're filled with love and light, you know, so this heart message, this love message, it's all connected. So I feel like it's beautiful that you are open to people that are different than you, and that you know how to sense like the feelings of love they have, even when you don't agree on things, right? Because like sometimes, you know, like people that choose not to eat meat, like, and those people telling people that they shouldn't eat meat, like it's coming from a place of love for the animals that meat eaters are eating, right? It's not coming from a place of hate against like people that eat meat. It's coming from a place of love. It could also be coming from a place of love about that person's health, right? That like this person that doesn't eat meat might be like, hey, like we have these health problems in our family and those are tied to eating too much red meat. So like, I love you and I care about you. And I would love to introduce ways for you to change your diet so you don't eat as much red meat, and kind of help to change your health. Those conversations are hard to have. It's hard to look at other people's perspectives, but I think for you, because you can sense the love that comes from those other perspectives, that's like a really powerful thing that's being activated for you. That it's almost like you're learning how to use your heart to listen and not just your ears. So this next card is the time frame. So in the summertime, like whenever you're watching this, when the summertime comes after this, like that's really kind of when this lesson is going to be fully completed. So if you're watching this like in the summer now, it's gonna come, like it's gonna complete pretty soon. If you're watching this in the fall, then it's gonna be a lesson that's gonna take a couple more seasons until you get to the completion of it. And so in group 1, I kind of explained like the activation and the timeline. Like if you're taking a course, if the universe was like your professor teaching you how to become more tolerant, this is how long the course is going to last from now until whenever the summer is for you when you're watching this. So that's the present love energy that you're really learning how to, develop a deeper love, in your future relationships, right? Like you're not jumping into things, you're not rushing into things, you're looking for quality. Yeah. Okay, and so let's look at the future love reading, or love situation. So the future situation that's coming, okay, is 9 of Swords. Okay, this card's hard, right? Because 9 of Swords is kind of the nightmare card, in that like, we have nightmares and it's something that's in our mind, but it can feel very visceral, very real, right? Like we can wake up and feel like we were just in that whatever weird nightmare situation that was. But the reality of it is that your mind is creating something that is not real. And so in the future, it feels like there's going to be some kind of situation or lesson that you're being asked to learn, around not allowing your mind to run the show. Like, and so for you, if this is like worst case situation thinking, that's very much like the 9 of Swords. This can be worrying. This can be, kind of like downward mental spiral. This can be anxiety, can be a little bit of depression. The traditional card, this person is sitting in bed. So this could be like sleep problems or problems in bed. Take that how it resonates. But typically the way that I read this card is that it's kind of the nightmare card, in that like our brain has almost like tricked us into thinking that we are in like a really terrible situation, and then we can wake up from it and realize like, whoa, my brain is really powerful. Like, it's making me think that things are real that are not. So let's look at this oracle card. Apology. Okay, forgiveness through mutual understanding. So it almost feels like you're like this love situation, because this apology feels like it's coming from someone else. And I wonder if like the love situation that you're in, like there's going to be something personally that you're struggling with. Like you might be struggling with like depression and anxiety. You might be going through like a really not great time in another part of your life. And like that might cause you to to want to apologize. For some reason, like this apology card, like it feels like it's coming from outside of you. It doesn't feel like you're apologizing, because like we don't apologize when we have a nightmare, right? But like the depression and anxiety, like if you've ever struggled with depression and anxiety, like you can feel like it's your fault. Like it might just be my depression that makes me feel like I can't do anything right, and so I apologize a lot. But like that's not what this feels like. This feels like you're going through a really hard situation with someone else, and that they will apologize for what's happened. But I think that like this feels very internal, that like whenever you're going through this future situation, like this is you by yourself, but like you're in the time that you're by yourself, it's like, why is this happening? Like, what is going on? And like, what do I do? And like, it feels like there's a lot of mental confusion. And I feel like you're going to get to a breaking point. And right before you get to that breaking point, like this might be like you wanting to leave the situation, the person's going to apologize. And like, it feels like they are going to like really like learn or understand something about themselves and see that thing that they couldn't get a hold of, that they finally got a hold of, was causing this for you. And that like, I feel like it almost feels like they don't know how to deal with something, and it's causing a lot of agony for you in the connection. And like they don't want to hurt you, but they also aren't being honest with you about what's going on, and they think that they can like do it by themselves, and they think it's not affecting other people, but it's like really greatly affecting you. And it almost feels like when the apology happens, like there's a lot of conversations that you two have, and it shifts things moving forward, right? Where it's like, what it kind of feels like is like if you're married and the person that's the primary breadwinner, or the person that is like responsible for the finances, like they do the bill paying and all that stuff, they lose their job and they don't want to tell you, and they just start, like maybe they get laid off, right? And it's like, okay, in a month you're going to be laid off. And so they're trying to figure out like, okay, over the next 30 days, I have to do this and this and this and this and this to make sure that all the finances are paid for, but they don't tell you about it. They're just carrying the whole load by themselves. And then like things get to a breaking point where like they're not acting like themselves, and maybe like you think something else is wrong. And what happens is they finally come clean and they're like, hey, I got notification 2 weeks ago that I'm getting laid off. And so in 2 weeks, I'm getting my last paycheck, and I did this and this and this to sort it out. And, and you're like, I thought you were cheating on me. Like, I did not know what was happening. Like, I was really upset because your behavior is so different. And it's like, they're like, oh my gosh, like, why would you think that? And it's like, well, you didn't tell me anything. And they're like, but I didn't want to tell you because I was ashamed. And like, I just wanted to fix it all by myself because I do the money and you don't do the money. And so it's like that, it feels like that energy where it's like, you finally talk about it and it's like, okay, like we're a really good team. So moving forward, like no more secrets, right? Even if you have to come to me and be like, hey, I'm really ashamed of this thing and I need to tell you, but please be kind to me. Please be gentle with me. Then it's like, okay, got it. You need kindness, you need compassion, but you're telling me a hard truth. Okay, let's go. Like I can do that. And so, yeah, that's what it feels like. So the next card is the activation message. Oh, peacefulness. You recognize that balance, kindness, and love bring calmness to your soul. Yeah, this is very much like, it feels like an imbalance, just like the example that I said. And I love that these are the same color. Oh, sorry. I get really excited about the colors, but I love that this kind of peacefulness card, like it feels like it feels like the energy of the example that I used, where it's like, okay, now that we are on the same page, now that there's this balance, we understand that we need kindness, love, and calmness, moving forward. That like it almost feels like that is the status quo in this connection, that like kindness, love, calmness, and balance, like that's the 4 pillars of this connection, of this relationship. Like that's what, after this stuff happens, after this apology, it's like, okay, moving forward, this is what we're agreeing to. Yes, that like we, you know, like we need to be honest, we need to be kind to each other, we need to be calm and loving so that we can maintain the balance in this relationship that's already really, really good. Okay, so let's look at this timing card for the future this month. Interesting. Okay, so to me, this feels like this in this month that you're watching this, this connection is going to begin. I don't feel like this is going to happen this month. I feel like because I feel like right now you're not in a serious relationship. So if you're partnered, this might not be the right reading for you, because this feels like this is very much like single energy, and that in this month you're going to meet this person that, you know, you're going to develop a relationship with that, you know, it's going to be a little testy, but it's happening for the purpose of like this situation is happening in your future relationship so that you guys can develop like this intention around like peacefulness being the kind of hallmark of your relationship, of like what you want moving forward. So it feels like this month you're going to meet this person that you're going through this kind of love lesson with. And I know this looks really hard and it looks really scary and bad, but I feel like we learn from contrast, right? Like this card is not peaceful at all. And, you know, when we are in chaos, then we learn how to create and value peacefulness and balance over this kind of stuff, right? Yeah, I hope that makes sense. This meeting might take place around the full moon for this month, because we've got this full moon imagery here. So take that if it resonates. If you're watching this at a time where the full moon has not happened yet, it might be happening around the time that the moon is full in the month that you're watching this. So group number 2, this has been your past, present, and future love reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, I would love it if you would like and subscribe, as well as comment, like especially if there's something about this that super resonated with you. I love reading your comments. But I just want to say thank you so much for choosing this video. Thank you for letting me read for you. I know that love is one of those things that like we always want to know, like when we're in love, like what's going on with the relationship. When we're having a hard time with love, you know, like we kind of want some insight. When we're waiting for love, it's exciting to know like when it's coming. And so I feel like this, you know, like this future situation, like it looks like it's going to start out rough, and it's not. It feels like this is going to be a pinnacle thing that shifts that relationship into something that's much more serious and intentional. But you will meet this person this month. This won't necessarily happen this month. So I hope that makes sense. I just felt like I needed to clarify that. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. And yeah, thank you for being here. And I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 3. So if you chose this beryl crystal and the consider all your options before acting oracle card, this is your past, present, future love reading. So as you can see, I have a lot of cards. So let's look at your past love situation. Whoops. Let me fix that. Okay, so we have the Hermit. And the message says, through the darkness of the night, I journey into the realm of dreams, seeking clarity and enlightenment. So the Hermit is a card of definitely of introspection, of kind of spending some time alone to get clear on maybe life in general. It could be just like one situation. It can be, to me, this almost feels like a dark night of the soul, where it's like going into the cocoon and needing to be alone in the dark for things to kind of transform, to change, to grow, to shift. In the traditional tarot, the hermit has a lantern, but here he's got a dream catcher, and it's got this little 4-leaf clover in the middle. And so it almost feels like in the past, you very much were in this energy of really figuring out, like, what is my dream love situation, right? Like, I think that we need to get clear on things, because when we're not clear on what we want, we'll kind of take whatever comes to us, right? So it makes me think of, like, if you want to buy a new car, but you're not really sure what you want, you don't know how much you want to pay, you don't really know what the interest rates are for the loans, you don't know what your trade-in is worth, and you go to the dealership and they kind of sell you something that maybe out of your price range, or it's something that, like, you don't really think you'll like, but they made it sound exciting, and so now you have a car that you're not really crazy about anymore after you slept on the decision, and the interest rate is a lot higher than what your bank is offering. I feel like when we don't know when we haven't gotten clear on what it is that we want, and we haven't taken the time to, like, think about, I like this and I don't like that, or do I even know? Am I even ready? Then, like, we can come into situations and get persuaded to take what is being offered to us, and what is being offered to us or even pushed onto us sometimes is not what is in our best interest. So it feels like in the past you might have experienced that, and that's what caused you to go into this kind of hermit stage. Or, you might have just been in a lot of different love situations and kind of felt like, I don't want to keep doing what I've been doing, and what is it that I want? You might even just be learning about manifestation and learning about visioning. You might have been through something that really helped you to see, like, what your worth is, and that has shifted, like, the way that you want to approach relationships. So there's any number of things that can cause us to kind of come into this hermit energy, but the energy is very intentional, very slow moving. With the traditional tarot, when the lantern is being held out in front of the hermit, like he is with this dream catcher, like, that lantern doesn't light up a lot, right? So, like, the hermit has to move slowly because there's not a huge source of light. And so that's kind of like the energy of the hermit. Like, in the past, you were moving really slowly, very deliberately. There's a lot of intention and just kind of allowing things to unfold around, like, what am I looking for? And even with this dream catcher, like, we can tell that he's really intently looking at the dream catcher, but we don't know what part he's looking at, right? Like, is he focused on, like, this feather, or, like, this little smiley face, or even, like, the little sparkles around it? Is he looking at the whole structure? Is he questioning, like, how is this even in the middle? It's not attached to anything. But we can see, with his expression, that he's very, very intentional about what it is that, he's focused on. And then the message from the past is, my emotions for you have always been intense. Okay, so this past situation, like, might have been kind of a learning lesson, because I think that sometimes, like, we can feel like really intense emotions in a love situation can mean something that they don't necessarily mean. I feel like this kind of has to do with chemistry as well, that, like, we can have a really strong physical or emotional chemistry with someone, and that relationship needs more than just chemistry, right? That maybe you had a really intense physical relationship with someone and you wanted it to be more than what it was, and it just kind of didn't pan out. It feels like this intensity, it's made me think of the phrase, like, the hottest like the hottest flame burns out the fastest. Like that's the phrase that's kind of coming to mind for me around this. Yeah, it feels like in the past, like there's been some things that you were reevaluating, where it's like when you were in this situation, like to you, like these intense emotions meant something different than what they mean now that you've had a chance to evaluate it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and then the lesson from your past love situation was that in the past you felt powerless, and now you have control over your current circumstances and the choices that you make. So to go back to like this intense emotions card, sometimes like when we have like really intense connections with people, when there's really intense emotions, like it's easy to get carried away with that. It's easy to get wrapped up in that. And I think sometimes like we don't realize that like emotions and feelings are something that we're experiencing. It's not like something that can just carry us away, right? That like we still, even though we're having really intense emotions, really intense feelings, we still are able to control the things that we do or don't do. It also feels like there's kind of something coming up around like controlling emotions, so maybe in the past like something happened and you learned how to control your emotions. Maybe like you're learning that like people that can control their emotions are like something that is like, that's a characteristic that's really important to you. Maybe there was like too much control. Maybe you're learning how to balance that. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of lessons that are coming up from the past. Like it wasn't just like one thing that you learned. It feels like that it was you might have been in this hermit energy for quite a while, and so like this isn't just like one lesson that you learn. Like this might be like kind of a consolidated lesson in a way. It almost feels like, if you are familiar with like college classes, like for like when you get to the end of your degree plan, like they have you do like a capstone class, like a capstone class, or even like a capstone project, where it's like you are taking everything that you've learned from that class, or like from the entire degree, or even like from a semester, and you're taking all of it and putting it together in this one capstone that you're presenting or turning in. It feels that's the energy that I'm feeling here, is very like what you learned in the past about like love. Like it was very much like a capstone lesson, right? That it's like all these really big things kind of came together for you to learn something that is changing the way that you see love, experience love, look for love in like moving forward, if that makes sense. So next we have present love situation. So let's see what we have. Oh, Queen of Cups. So the message is, my cat may be small, but he has the biggest personality and makes my heart so full. Oh. So Queen of Cups is really just like understanding that you can fill your own cup, and understanding that you have the power to fill your own cup, and that it's lovely when other people do things to fill your cup, your little baby cat, the connections that you have, the people in your life, but ultimately you are always responsible for filling your own cup, as well as ensuring that people, like that you don't allow people to take from your cup. It's almost like this balance. It's like an autonomy of, I know that I am responsible for my own happiness, and I also know that I'm responsible for managing the people that come into my life that affect my happiness, and so like moving away from this powerlessness into this position of power around love, and like what love means for you, and like how you allow and really inject love into your life, as well as kind of prevent things from entering your life that steal like your love and joy. The queen is, it's a position of power. that like she has power, she has autonomy, she has wisdom, she has resources to kind of create the love life that she wants, to create the love relationships that she wants, as well as to end the relationships that are not loving or that are detrimental. So I really like this. It's a card of understanding like your own worth, your own value, and really understanding what love means to you instead of what love means to everyone or the collective. And so the love message is heartbroken. Okay, deeply hurt, sad, separation, the breakup, feeling lost, grieving and mourning. Okay, so in the present, you might still be healing from a heartbreak. You might be newly on the heels of a breakup. And so, with this card, you could just be feeling lost, right? Like if you are not dealing with a heartbreak, you might just be having a hard time being by yourself. In that hermit energy, it's very, very much solo energy with this queen here. She's got her baby cat, but there's nobody else in either of these cards, right? So it might feel like maybe you're tired of being alone. Maybe you're tired of kind of being by yourself. Like I said, you could have just gone through a breakup. You might still be like sad about it. There might be some kind of separation between you and another person. It can even be a feeling of like separation from the people that you're really close to. Like if you don't have friends that live near you, if you don't have family that lives near you, you might have lost someone recently. And so really focusing on how to love and care for yourself amidst this kind of hard energy, right? That like, what are the things, like this Queen of Cups is about self-care. And it feels like if you're feeling this energy, like if you're feeling this kind of like sadness, this hurt, separation, maybe feeling lost or like grieving, that like you're being encouraged to implement some more self-care for yourself right now. Just taking some time to rest. She's got her eyes closed and her little kitten sleeping, taking some time to rest, taking some time to spend with your baby cats as Ben comes up. He's like, yeah, we need to hang out. I don't know if you just heard him meow. This kid, he cracks me up. But yeah, just taking some time for self-care. So let's look at the love activation card. Ownership. You acknowledge your misdeeds and accomplishments alike and learn to love them all as lessons. Okay, so there's very much like a balancing, like a balanced understanding here, that like understanding that, there are things that you could have done better, and there's things that you did really well. And learning how to see, it really feels like integration, I think, because this kind of rainbow with all the chakra colors in it, that I feel like I say this a lot, that like as human beings, we learn from contrast. So it's like we need to experience kind of separation to learn the value of what it means to be together with people. Like we experience the feeling of loss to learn gratitude for when we have people in our lives. We learn, what it feels like to be hurt and sad, so that we are able to find the things that make us feel like loved and whole and cherished. And so like with this ownership card, like the activation feels like really understanding like that every lesson has two sides to it, right? That like it almost feels like accountability, right? Ownership and accountability are very kind of similar. Like when we're accountable to something, we are taking ownership of our part in it, whether it's like good or bad or, neutral, whatever it is. And it's that ownership, that accountability is not saying like, oh, I did these things wrong, but it's not my fault. It's saying like, hey, I recognize that I could have done this better. But also like I did the best I knew how. And now that I know how to do things better, I will do things differently. So it's very, very much like objective, but compassionate. I hope that makes sense. because I feel like accountability, ownership, those can be a little bit complicated, right? Especially when we have like hurt and separation, grief, you know, kind of feelings of loss. Like those are kind of big, tricky feelings. So this next card is the time card. So, okay, more than a year. So it feels like it's this present situation that you're in, that you're going to be in this kind of self-care, learning how to fill your own cup, like learning how to see and balance like this hurt, sadness, separation, as well as like ownership of your part in things. It feels like you're going to be in this for more than a year. So, it feels like this kind of hermit energy of being alone. Like it almost feels like in the past, you know, like this hermit energy was like being very intentional and like kind of wandering in the dark, taking really small steps. Like there's a lot of things that you learned, and it almost feels like in this present time you're learning how to implement them. And so this isn't saying that you're going to be alone for more than a year, but it does feel like the lessons around like the contrast, right? Like the lessons around like feeling kind of sadness, and maybe hurt about things that happen, and then understanding like your part of it. Like it feels like that kind of integration process is going to take more than a year. And it almost feels like this is the bachelor's degree and this is the master's degree. Like it feels like different levels of learning, right? That you had this foundational knowledge and now you're figuring out how to really master understanding like how much power you have in your relationships. So it almost feels like whatever stuff happened in the past, like you didn't feel like you had any power in relationships. And now like in this next chapter, you're learning just how much power you have. I don't want to say over other people in your relationships, but like over the things that happen in relationships, like how much power you have in like influencing how those relationships go. And so I feel like that's why it's taking a long time. Like it's almost like this is really undoing some of the powerlessness, like victim mindset stuff around relationships, you know. And so this old stuff can be that like like there's something wrong with me, like I don't pick good partners, and then this next chapter can be learning how to vocalize like or identify what you need so that you're not picking partners or dating people that obviously cannot meet your needs, right? So maybe in the past, like let's say that conversation is like a big thing for you, that you really enjoy relationships where you can have like deep conversation, but for some reason everybody you dated was like really quiet. In this next chapter, like as you're starting to meet people, you know that conversation is important to you. So like when you're meeting people, if you meet people that don't really like to talk or they don't have anything to talk about, like you're learning that like, okay, even though it feels nice to be around someone and I feel less lonely, like there's no long-term potential for this, even for like friendship or like even for any kind of connection, because what I need this person isn't able to give because they just don't like to talk. And I really like to talk, but I like to talk to people. I like to engage in conversation. Like I don't just like to talk to hear myself. So it feels like this chapter is like you're reprogramming what it means to have power in your connections and relationships. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So let's look at the future. So your future love situation. is Six of Wands. So this is a card of success, graduation completion. So we have this little graduation example here. It says goodbye textbooks, hello real world. So relief to be done with the studying. I really think it's adorable that this card matches the example of like bachelor's, master's, graduation. So in the future, like in the future, you won't be in the midst of these learning lessons around love. Like you'll be able to draw in, to call in like really successful relationships. Like you won't be having any more of these kind of karmic relationships where you're having to like learn or relearn lessons. So let's see what the Oracle card is. Overcoming obstacles. Okay, get back on your feet, gain strength from difficult situations. So it feels like get back on your feet, get back on the horse again. It almost feels like the things that used to keep you down when difficult things would come up, like they don't bother you as much anymore. Like it's almost like you're collecting data and it isn't a reflection of you. So it almost feels like in the past, like when difficult things would come up in relationships, it's like, oh, what's wrong with me? And I feel like in the future, like when things come up, you're like, oh, okay, that's just data telling me that this is not the right person. This is not the right way to handle something. This is not the best method, instead of like, I'm wrong, I'm bad, I failed. Excuse me. So let's look at your love activation. Whoops. Acceptance. You are ready to release control of situations or people and lovingly embrace the rhythm of life. I love that. Yeah, so it feels like in the future, there's less of a need to control things and more of an ability to just kind of be with what is, to accept what is and kind of go with the flow. It doesn't feel like I think the hard thing about like the go with the flow phrase is like, and especially acceptance, is like, how do you learn to accept something that you don't want or you don't like? And that's not what acceptance is. Like acceptance is, oh, I see that I have a connection with someone and it's not exactly what I'm looking for. And so I accept that there's no future potential for this. And I'm going to use that data to make decisions that work best for me, right? So it might be that you see that there's not long-term potential with this person, and maybe you let them know like, hey, I don't think this is a long-term thing, but like if you want to randomly get together and have dinner, like I think that would be fun, and if you don't, that's okay. Or if you're very intentional about how you use your time and energy, you might say, hey, I don't really see a future for us, and I just want to thank you for the time we had together, but I'm gonna move, I don't think I want to see you again. And so I feel like that's this big part of acceptance, right? That like accepting the reality of something is not accepting it in your life, or accepting that like you can't have what you want because this isn't what you want. It's accepting that like what this is not what you want, and that you can make the best decision for yourself based on the reality of this. And then lastly, we have this timing card, which is next full moon. Interesting. So it almost feels like this is the future, but it almost feels like these things are happening at the same time, even though this is in the future. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, because it feels like this acceptance, like this kind of success, acceptance, like overcoming obstacles, like it feels like because this time frame is sooner than this one, like this is more than a year. Or I wonder if you've been in this for more than a year. Because this acceptance, overcoming obstacles, is success. Like this lesson feels like it's happening before this one, or that maybe not that it's happening before this one, but it's happening much faster than this one. Yeah. So I wonder if you've been in this for more than a year. It almost feels like not that it's not going to take more than a year for you to go through this, maybe that you've been in this for more than a year. And that like once you start to date, once you start to like go out and meet people, these lessons are going to happen like very, very quickly. You know, that like it might take like a month, right? A month and a half, depending on when you're watching this, like whenever the next full moon is. If you're watching this when there just was a full moon, it might be a month. If you're watching this like when you've just had a new moon, that's going to be like a couple weeks. But for whatever reason, like this next full moon feels like a month or a month and a half. For some reason, like that's what's coming up. Even though like while I'm watching this, the next full moon is in 2 weeks, I still feel like it's a month or a month and a half. So take what resonates. But yeah, it feels like once you start to date again, once you start to connect with new people, once you start to like go out and test the knowledge that you've gained, like these lessons are going to happen really quickly. That like, you know, you're going to overcome some kind of bumpy interactions. Like you're going to learn how to just accept the reality of people. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at this person and this dog, which is interesting because like it doesn't feel like this is their pet, but then we've got this person and, you know, the queen and the cat here. So I wonder, this person with a horse. Yeah, animals might be important to you. There might be something for you about animals, which is maybe why there's like a person with an animal in each of these. It's very interesting. Yeah, I feel like for you, group number 3, like there's still a lot of learning that's happening for you around love. I also decided that I was going to pick this reading. And so this very much resonates for me. I think except for this part, like I feel like I'm ready for, you know, like a long-term committed relationship. But looking at this, it's like, no, there's still some things to learn. And, you know, that's very true, you know, especially with this ownership card, like learning how to see our part in things, just like learning how to see the things that we did well. Yeah. So group number 3, this has been your reading. I hope that it was helpful for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, I would love it if you would like and subscribe, as well as leave me a comment. Let me know how you feel about this one. I will tell you, this is not what I was hoping to see for my love reading. You know, like I would have loved to see in like a 2 of Cups or like a Lovers or something. But, you know, from what I'm seeing here, there's still some things that I need to learn. There's some things that, you know, that I'm still working on. I think if you are in separation with someone, I would invite you to think about the difficult situation that you had with this person and see if it's something that you want to overcome or something that can be overcome. So if that resonates, if you're in separation with someone, or even if someone from your past comes back and maybe kind of wants to, if they're offering you maybe a reconciliation, like looking at like what the obstacle was from the past, what the difficult situation was from the past, and seeing if that is something that you think that, you know, you're able to overcome, or that you want to work to overcome, or even if that's something that you want to get back into, you know, because this says get back on your feet. Like, is that a relationship you want to get back into? So for those of you that are in separation that have someone come back that was just like a little last thing that came in. So group number 3, this has been your reading. I wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you for letting me read for you, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 4. So if you chose this agate crystal and the Just Like the Moon, I Will Go Through Phases oracle card, this is your reading. So I have past, present, and future love messages for you. So let's take a look at your past, your past messages. So the past love situation that we're looking at is the Devil. Interesting. So the same card came up for group number 1. Imagery was very different. So this Devil card, we can see they are a little puppet master, right? They've got these little people, little marionette people down here that they're kind of messing with. This is a person in power, you know. The Devil card is associated with Capricorn, so if that resonates, this feels like a person or situation that was really manipulative because of these strings and the marionettes. There's this element of like opulence and glamour. I think that when this person or situation came in, it looked really beautiful, really appealing. In the beginning, we've got all these beautiful red roses, right? Red roses symbolize like romantic love, deep passion. And I think over time you came to realize that this was not what you wanted, that what it looked like you were getting is not what you got. And that's it's kind of hard. But I feel like this is also a reality that you can't unsee. There was some level of intention with this person wanting to like catch you. This person was the chaser. Like they knew what to do to catch you, and that it really feels like it was more about the chase than about the connection, which is hard. So the love message is connect to me telepathically through meditation. So I feel like this person, they are still very connected to you, even if you are not connected to them. And so it feels like there might be times that you feel like this person is thinking about you and like they pop into your head. You might have dreams about this person. Like there's something very powerful about them. Like they have this hold over you. It's like a really significant soul tie, right? Because we've got like these marionette strings, like they have, and even kind of this spell book, they have tied into you. And so if this is something that you don't want anymore, like if this is something that like as you're watching this reading, like you're getting really frustrated, like, oh God, them again, like why do they keep showing up? With this courage, power, perseverance, like the thing that I'm feeling is that like you need to be reminded of how much power you have. So you have the ability to cut these soul ties from this person. You have the ability to cut these cords with this person. So there's a number of things you can do. Like you can, if you like to use crystals, you can get some selenite and essentially kind of use the selenite to trace over your body, all over the kind of outline of your body, the bottom of your feet, like in between your legs, almost like if you were taking it to draw an outline of your whole body. And that will cut some of the energy. You can do some cord cutting meditations. You can, I'm seeing like journaling, writing, that like I return, person, whatever their name is, I return this person's energy to them and I call back my energy to me. And like writing that a couple times and then burning it, I feel like that's going to be something that's helpful. Or even like just declaring that out loud, that like I return person the person's, like, say their name, energy to them, and I call back my energy to me. And so the lesson that you learned from this past connection is you didn't understand why you moved locations frequently. Now you are creating a stable living environment for yourself that is predictable. So if moving doesn't resonate, like, it almost feels like there's this energy of like running away, that like you didn't understand why you were always running away from this situation. And it's because you didn't feel stable, and you didn't like being tied down or tied up. It's almost like, oh gosh. So I sometimes, sometimes I do this to Ben because Ben thinks that I am cat furniture. And there are times that I just want to lay on my couch and not have a cat lay on top of me. Like, maybe my stomach doesn't feel good, which happens a lot. Maybe I just, I lay down because I know I'm going to need to get up in like 10 minutes and do something. So I don't want him to get all comfy. And so sometimes I'll tell him no, or, I'll kind of try to push him off of me, and he won't leave me alone. So then what I will do is I will hug him. Because he hates being held. He hates being hugged. So I don't do it hard, obviously. But like, I'll hug him to make him like run away. And then sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes he does just want to be held. So then it's like, okay, I'll hold you for a little bit. And then when he's done, he runs off. But I share that example because it feels like this person, like their energy, the tie that they have on you is suffocating. And that like you have been trying to run away from it, to get away from it. And like you just can't. And so the thing that you're like being invited to learn with this situation is that like you can create that energetic space for yourself that is stable and comfortable. But there are things that you'll need to do, right? Like cutting that tie is one of the things that you'll need to do. And I feel like there's things that you know what you need to do. And like, if you haven't done it yet, it's because you're not ready. But once you're ready to really cut that connection with this person, like it's going to work, that you have more power than you think you have. Like, I think you've believed for a long time that they are really powerful over you. And that like, once you decide that you're done being manipulated, or like having this hold, them having this hold over you, like that's going to be the time that you implement your power and you cut those cords and you create the stable environment for yourself. So I know this is in the past. So this might be something that you just recently realized that you want to do. You just recently like started to try to do, you just recently started to entertain, or even just like the past realization might be that like, I'm tired of this. Like, I'm done. So that was the past love situation. So the current love situation that's coming up is this Three of Cups. So this card is really about friendship, social gatherings, like connecting with people. We've got this like heart in the middle of the table, which happens to be a coffin, but this is the Day of the Dead deck. So, but we've got these three people here with their cups, and they're celebrating, they're enjoying their time together. It looks like, there was maybe a little bit like a little fiesta, and this is kind of the end of the night where it's like things have quieted down, but they're still enjoying each other's company. The reds and the pinks here, like it's a really positive, loving, caring connection, which is beautiful. The oracle card message is twin flames, yin yang, zen, balance, union, duality, coupling, complement each other. So it feels like these people that you are in friendship with, like this is very, it almost feels like chosen family. I know like twin flames, a lot of people see twin flames as like the ultimate like partner, the ultimate person to be with, and that twin flames are not soulmates. But I feel like this kind of twin flame card, this energy is very much like a balanced energy where sometimes like you can have a couple with like a third wheel that doesn't feel like this. This feels like, three people, almost like, you like a tripod, right? Where it's like each leg of the tripod serves a purpose, that like you can't have a tripod with two legs. It doesn't, I mean, not just because the name, but like it wouldn't stay upright. It wouldn't be as stable. It wouldn't be as like it just wouldn't be as secure. And so it feels like there's this complementary energy between the three of you, that there's this balance, which is beautiful. And then this love activation card is unity. You understand that the love shared with another is amplified and has a ripple across the universe. Yeah, it feels like this current connection, these friendships that you have, like they're very, very healing for you. Like they're kind of building you back up from this past situation, that they're reminding you that like people are safe, and that like love comes in many different forms, but that like spending time with these people, because I don't feel like these people are all in the same place as you. So it might be like you're traveling to meet these people. It might be that like you have two really good, like really close, good friends, but you just like not all three of you have gotten together before. Maybe geographically you're separated, or maybe you have before, and it just doesn't happen very often. But it feels like the times that you get to spend with these really good friends, it's very healing for you. Like it has really positive, like long-term effects. Like it's this really positive ripple of energy in your life. So the times that you spend with these close friends, like it has like an energetic resonance that lasts for a long time. Almost reminds me of like when someone you know wears like a certain scent, and like they come in the room and then they leave, and like you come in after them and it's like, oh, such and such was here. Like I can smell their signature scent. Like it feels like that. Like when you make cookies, like when you bake cookies in your house, then you leave and you come back and it's like, oh, cookies. Like it reminds me of that. It's like this lingering, really positive connotation to it, but like this lingering. And then the time frame, a few weeks. So you might be seeing your friends in a few weeks. Interesting. It might be that like this kind of unity energy, it lingers energetically with you for a few weeks after you've seen them or connected with them, which is really beautiful. Like that's just lovely, especially if they are not anywhere near you. If you don't have these people in your life right now, I feel like in a few weeks you're going to start to meet the people that are going to become like this kind of soul tribe for you. And so let's look at your future love situation. We have the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so there is someone coming in with an offer. They are reliable, responsible, very slow moving, very intentional, deliberate. So this is someone that wants to build something long term. They are not in a hurry. A little bit stoic. Not to say that they're not verbally expressive, they're just not very like emotive, right? Like they don't show a lot of emotion on their face. But they might not show that they're like giddy or excited to be with you, but they will express it to you. Like they'll tell you, something like, I really enjoy spending time with you, or I had a great time today. And so if you are someone who looks for emotions on people's face to read them, this person's going to be a little tricky for you. And I think that it is for your growth, like for you to learn how to use your voice to kind of ask questions, or, kind of speak things instead of looking for clues. And I feel like this person is really going to break a lot of the kind of manipulative programming. Kind of there's like residual gunk from this person that like you learned that, like, what I think when we deal with people that are manipulative, like we learn how to read things without asking questions, because manipulators teach us that like people's words don't match what they think, what they're gonna do. And this person is helping you to reprogram that. Like this person is totally the opposite. Like they are not manipulative. Like they will answer you really directly, like whatever you ask them. And so when you meet this person, a little bit stoic, quiet. For some reason, I feel like they might wear glasses. When you meet them, if you feel like they are hard to read, but not because they're hiding things, I feel like that's kind of a sign, right? That like that's how you'll know that this is the person, because like you're trying to read them, but energetically you can feel they're not hiding anything, but you just can't pick anything up about them. And so I would invite you, it's going to be really uncomfortable for you. I would invite you to just ask them, you know, like, hey, are you having a good time? Or like, are you excited to meet? And like, they're going to be really verbally expressive. They're like, oh, I'm having a great time, you know, and it almost feels like they know that they're not very emotive, you know, and that might even be a conversation that you have where it's like, yeah, I hope I'm not asking you if you're enjoying yourself too much. I just, you know, like, I just can't tell, maybe because we don't know each other. And they're like, no, people tell me that a lot, you know, and like, I promise I'm having a good time. My face doesn't make a lot of expressions. So, yeah, so that's how you will know in the future that you've met this person. So let's see the oracle message. Be open to change, be receptive to new experiences. Change leads to growth. So I feel like this person is not your typical person. So they might not look like your type. Like if you have a kind of traditional type, they might not look like your type. They might, you might not really date kind of quiet people. But yeah, I feel like this be open to change card is just kind of confirmation that like if you interact with someone, if you meet someone, if you kind of see someone on an app, whatever, however you choose to meet new people to date, if they are different than who you normally date or who you normally like take interest in, this is just another message saying like that, you know, be open to new experiences, that, you know, change leads to growth. Like this is positive. Yeah. Sometimes we need change, and change can be good. So let's look at this love activation card. Oh, joy. You delight in the love of life and bring a spirit of fun to all that you do. Yeah. So this is going to be a little bit of almost like an opposites attract, because it feels like you are very kind of emotive. And like you might be super, super excited to be with them. Like the more time you spend together, like the more giddy you get and the more excited and happy you get. And they really love that about you. They love that like you're so different than them. You know, like I said, they're not very emotive. And so you might not be their type either. So you both might be dating people, giving people a chance that you normally like wouldn't for whatever reasons. But that it's a really positive connection, that you guys have a lot of fun together. They just love how joyful you are, which is really sweet and beautiful. I love that. Like it's almost like there's times that you're really emotive and like joyful and happy, and they're like studying you. Like they're not looking at you like, what is group number 4 doing? But they're like, oh, wow. Like it's almost like this really kind of sweet admiration, like, oh, look at group number 4, like they're just so happy, and it's just really cute, you know. And I think in the times that you're really emotive and joyful, they get kind of lost in that, and then they start to emote. So it almost looks like I can see them kind of just like looking at you with this little look of adoration on their face, and they're kind of just like, they have this little smile while they're watching you. It's just really, it's adorable. It's so sweet. I love it. And so lastly, we have this timing card. Okay. And it says within a year. So this future connection, it's going to happen within a year from when you're watching this. So this could be, I feel like it's like 8 to 10 months is really what it feels like to meet within a year. It feels like 8 to 10 months. Yeah. And I love that there is like these kind of clouds, you know, like the sunshine coming through the clouds, and that this person has their umbrella, and we can see the rain here, but it almost feels like you're going to be coming out of a dark time, and that like this is just going to be kind of like the clouds parting, the sun coming through, the heavens opening it up in your life, you know, that like there's going to be something kind of difficult maybe that happens before you meet them. It almost feels like the first date that you have, the first meeting that you have, it's going to be like at either at an event that you were debating on going to, or you might think about canceling your first date with them and then you go through with it. Yeah, that's what it feels like, that like you're either going to meet them organically at an event that you're like, oh, I don't really want to go. And then you're like, no, I should go. I bought tickets. Or like, oh, I already paid for this. Or like, I haven't done anything fun in a while, so I have to make myself go. Or, you guys might meet online or even meet in person and decide to have a date, and you might almost cancel the date on them and then you still go. And like, it turns out to be like this really beautiful thing. Yeah. This was very specific. But I think that if you were called to watch this reading, like you probably appreciate like directness, which is I think why the messages are coming out so directly, and also like being kind of over this manipulation energy and like not wanting to have to second guess. Like you're ready for positive connections. You're ready for like clarity. You're ready to just be yourself and feel safe being yourself in relationship, instead of the past where it was like, am I okay? Like, am I acceptable? Like this stuff was hard, but it's in the past. It's in the past. So group number 4, this has been your past, present, future love reading. So if you enjoyed it, I would love it if you would like and subscribe, as well as leave me a comment. Let me know which part of this resonated for you. I think this part was my favorite. Just kind of in my mind, seeing them just like look at you like, oh, group number 4 is adorable. I feel like that's just such sweet energy. Like your Knight of Pentacles, like just super sweet person. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me read your cards. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you next time. Bye.